The axon terminals contain vesicles. Here you can see the vesicles filled with chemicals called neurotransmitters. Forebrain, prosencephalon, midbrain, mesencephalon, and hindbrain also is called as rhombencephalon. Cerebral hemisphere. All of us know that the whole of the brain is divided into right and left cerebral hemispheres. So each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. What are the 4 lobes? Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Hello everyone, welcome back to session 4 of this chapter called Neural Control and Coordination. Myself, B. Shobha Rani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence. Hope you remember in the last session we studied about transmission of nerve impulse. Now let us move on to the remaining concepts of this very interesting chapter called Neural Control and Coordination. So in the last session, we studied about transmission of nerve impulse through a synapse. So what is a synapse? Synapse is the junction between two neurons is called as a synapse, and we have studied about 2 types of synapses. One is called the electrical synapse, the other one is called the chemical synapse. So now let us study about the conduction of impulse in chemical synapse. So here you can see the beautiful picture. Here you can see the presynaptic neuron. So with the synaptic cleft, with pre and postsynaptic neuron with the cleft. Synaptic cleft is called as a chemical synapse. So here you can see the neurotransmitter, here you can see the synaptic cleft, and here you can see the neurotransmitter, synaptic bulb. So postsynaptic membrane and presynaptic membrane, presynaptic and postsynaptic membrane. So here you can see the neurotransmitter receptor, chemically gated ion channel. Right. So plasma membrane, postsynaptic neuron. So here you can see. Now let us understand the conduction of impulse in chemical synapse. So the axon terminals contains vesicles. So here you can see. What do you mean by vesicles? Bag-like structures. Bag-like structures. Bag-like structures. So filled with chemicals called neurotransmitters. So here you can see this is vesicles containing neurotransmitters. As I've discussed in the last session, neurotransmitters may be either dopamine or acetylcholine. Dopamine or acetylcholine. So the axon terminals contain vesicles. So these are the vesicles which contain neurotransmitter, chemicals with neurotransmitters. So when the action potential arrives at the axon terminals here, when the action potential arrives at this is the axon terminal. The end part of axon is called as axon terminals. It stimulates the movement of the synaptic vesicles towards the membrane. So here you can see how it moves towards the membrane. So synaptic vesicle fused with presynaptic membrane and release the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. So here you can see how it is going to release the neurotransmitter. Here you can see these are the neurotransmitters releasing into the synaptic cleft. So conduction of impulse in chemical synapse can be studied like the axon terminals contain vesicles. Here you can see the vesicles filled with chemicals called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters may be either dopamine or acetylcholine. So when the action potential arrives at the axon terminals, it stimulates the movement of the synaptic vesicles and release the neurotransmitters into the synaptic cleft. So the synaptic cleft fused with the presynaptic membrane and release the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. The neurotransmitters bind with the receptors. So here you can see the receptors. So the neurotransmitters are going to bind with the receptors. So here you can see the neurotransmitter receptor is going to bind with the receptor. So this is axon terminal. And this is the neurotransmitter and this is the vesicle. Right. So the neurotransmitter binds with the receptors located on the postsynaptic membrane. So here you can see the postsynaptic membrane located on the postsynaptic membrane. And activation of receptors on postsynaptic membrane makes it permeable to sodium and generates action potential as it is done by stimulus. So when the neurotransmitters binds with the receptors located on the postsynaptic membrane, activation of receptors on the postsynaptic membrane makes it permeable to what? Sodium ions, and generates what? Action potential as it is done by a stimulus. So the new potential developed may be either excitatory or inhibitory, depends on the nature of the neurotransmitter. So the new potential that is formed when the activation of receptors on postsynaptic membrane makes it permeable to sodium and generates what? Action potential. That action potential developed may be either excitatory or it might be inhibitory, depending on the nature of the transmitter, whether depending upon the chemical substance that is the neurotransmitter is, whether it might be a dopamine or acetylcholine. So moving on to the next very important concept called central nervous system. By seeing this beautiful picture, you all know that yes, we are going to study about a very important part of the nervous system called brain. So how important, we all know how important this organ is for our body. Now let us understand about this, as we know that the whole of the nervous system is subdivided into CNS, that is central nervous system, then PNS, that is peripheral nervous system, and ANS, that is autonomous nervous system. So CNS, that is the central nervous system, comprises of brain and the spinal cord. As we know, the brain is divided into three very important parts called forebrain, which is also called as prosencephalon, and midbrain called mesencephalon, and hindbrain called rhombencephalon. Forebrain, prosencephalon, midbrain, mesencephalon, and hindbrain also is called as rhombencephalon. So forebrain comprises of cerebrum, then olfactory lobe, diencephalon. Diencephalon again includes what? You have already studied about thalamus and hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is called master gland, which is a controller of the other endocrine glands also. So it is called master glands. Then the midbrain, which is otherwise called mesencephalon, and hindbrain consists of cerebellum, pons varolai, and medulla oblongata. Now, what is the classification of brain? Brain is broadly classified into three very important parts. What are they? Forebrain or prosencephalon, midbrain, mesencephalon, hindbrain, rhombencephalon. Forebrain consists of, what are the parts that are included under forebrain? Cerebrum. Here you can see the cerebrum. The important part is called the cerebrum. Then olfactory lobe. Then diencephalon, that is thalamus and hypothalamus. Then we have the midbrain, that is the mesencephalon. Then the hindbrain, that is the cerebellum, pons varolai, and medulla oblongata. So here you can see the cerebrum. It is called, cerebrum is called little brain. Cerebrum is called little. This is called pons varolai. Pons varolai. Cerebrum is also called as little brain. Right? Now, the brain is, I think all of us know that the brain is, we are all, human beings are called craniates. Why we are called as craniates? The brain is enclosed in a brainy box or a suitcase-like structure called cranium to protect the brain. Brain is such a very important organ, and the brain is covered over by a structure called cranium, or what we otherwise use the word called skull. So the brain is protected in a bony case called cranium. Between cranium and the brain, there are three layers of connective tissue present called meninges. Very, very important. So there is a protective layer covering the brain called meninges. And what are the three layers? They are outer dura mater. So meninges. Meninges is the layer. Outer dura mater. Then middle arachnoid mater. And the inner pia mater. So what are the three? So the brain is covered over by a protective layer. protective connective three layers, protective connective tissue layers. What are they? Outer dura mater, middle arachnoid matter, and inner pia mater. And if these matter, the three layers are damaged, then it will lead to a disease called meningitis. Meningitis. So these layers are very, very important. They are the protective layers for the brain. Then the space between the arachnoid matter and pia mater is filled with a kind of fluid called cerebrospinal fluid or CSF. Hope you all know that the space between the arachnoid matter and the pia matter is filled with a liquid-like substance, fluid-like substance called CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid, which acts as a shock absorber. You know, sometimes suddenly we come across some good news or a bad news. So there is a shock, mental shock. So in order to absorb that stress or strain, so this cerebrospinal fluid acts as a shock absorber. So it acts as a shock absorber, supply nutrition to the brain tissues. Not only that, CSF will not only act as a shock absorber, it also provides nutrition to the brain tissues and removes waste materials from the brain also. So it is also going to remove the waste materials from the brain. And as I said, structurally and functionally, the human brain is divided into various parts, like the forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. Forebrain consists of cerebrum, olfactory lobe, diencephalon. Diencephalon consists of again thalamus, hypothalamus. Midbrain or mesencephalon is whole and soul. Then hindbrain, or otherwise called rhombencephalon, is consisting of cerebellum, which is called little brain, pons varolai, and medulla oblongata. And this is medulla oblongata. Right. So now let us understand about the brain once again. So the central nervous system comprises of brain and the spinal cord. Now let us study about the brain. You can see the beautiful picture of brain. So the brain is protected in a bony case called cranium. Between cranium and the brain, there are three layers of connective tissue present called meninges. What are the three layers? Outer dura mater, middle arachnoid mater, and inner pia mater. So the space between the arachnoid matter and pia mater is filled with CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. So what is the function of CSF? It acts as a shock absorber and at the same time provide nutrition to the brain tissues and also removes the waste materials from the brain. Structurally and functionally, the human brain is divided into various parts like what we have come across, the forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. So sagittal section of human brain. So here you can see the sagittal section of human brain. Sagittal section of human brain. Sagittal section of human brain. So as I said, forebrain. Forebrain is also called as prosencephalon. Midbrain, mesencephalon. Then hindbrain, rhombencephalon. So forebrain consists of what? Cerebrum, then cerebrum, then the diencephalon with hypothalamus, thalamus, right? So forebrain consists of what? Cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. So here you can see the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. Here, and it is divided into left and right cerebral hemisphere. All of us know that the whole of the brain is divided into right and left cerebral hemispheres. And hemispheres separated by a deep longitudinal fissure. So it is separated by corpus callosum. So here you can see the corpus callosum. Here you can see corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is going to differentiate the whole of the cerebrum into right and left cerebral hemisphere. So left and right cerebral hemisphere are held together by a bundle of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. Here, as I said, both the right and the left cerebral hemispheres are held together by a bundle of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. So you can see the fissure. Fissure means the partition which will divide the right side of the brain from the left side of the brain. And the left and the right cerebral hemispheres are held together by a bundle of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. So the surface of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex. So here you can see the cerebral cortex. Here, as I said, cerebral cortex. So forebrain, diencephalon, thalamus, hypothalamus, midbrain, superior colliculi, tegmen, inferior, reticular, cerebellum, pons, verrulia forms. So you can see the three brain, forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain, right? Now, the surface of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex, made up of what? Nerve cells called grey matter. So the surface of the cerebrum is called cerebral cortex, which is made up of nerve cells called, this is called grey matter. And inner cortex is white matter. Inner cortex is white matter. It is vice versa in case of spinal cord. Outside it is white matter, inside it is grey matter. But in brain, outside is grey matter, inside is white matter. So inner to the cortex, the fibers connecting various parts of the brain made up of nerve fibers are called white matter. So when we study the surgery here, so here you can see the brain stem, that is the midbrain, then pituitary gland here, right? So you can see the thalamus, hypothalamus. So the structure of the sagittal section of human brain is very important. So cerebrum, when we study the sagittal section of the human brain, first and foremost part is what? Forebrain. Forebrain is called what? Very important part is what? Cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest, so this is the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. It is divided into left and right cerebral hemispheres separated by deep longitudinal fissure. And the left and the right cerebral hemispheres are held together by a bundle of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. Then the surface of the cerebrum is called, here you can see the cerebral cortex made up of nerve fibers called grey matter. And inner to the cortex, so inner to the cortex is nerve fibers called white matter. Then cerebral cortex is drawn into many foldings. So here you can see, I think you might have come across, more the number of folds, more the intelligent the person is. People say that if the brain has more number of foldings, they say they are very intelligent. So the cerebral cortex is drawn into foldings called, and those foldings are called as what? Gyri or convolutions. So here you can see the convolutions. Convolutions. Or you can also use the word called gyri. Gyri or convolution. The furrows found in cerebral cortex are called sulcus. So here you can see the furrows. Here you can see the furrows like this. So this is called sulcus. This is the sagittal section of brain. Sagittal section of brain. So cerebral cortex is drawn into many foldings are called gyri or convolutions. The furrows found in cerebral cortex are called sulcus. So this is the fifth point. Sixth point is the cerebral cortex has motor area which initiates responses, sensory area which receives stimulus, and association area that connect motor and sensory area and provide activities like intelligence, memory, communication, etc. See, the cerebral cortex is such a very important part of the brain. Has so many motor area. Motor means what? Action. So like which initiate responses, sensory area, so which initiates responses, sensory area which receives stimulus, and association area that connect motor and sensory area and provide activities like intelligence, memory, communication, etc. Then each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. Here you can see each cerebral hemisphere. As we know, the whole of the cerebrum is divided into right and left cerebral hemisphere. So each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. What are the 4 lobes? Such as 4 lobes. Each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. What are they? Frontal lobe, then 2 parietal lobe, 3 temporal lobe, and 4 called occipital lobe. Occipital lobe. So cerebral cortex is drawn into many foldings called gyri or convolutions. The furrows found in cerebral cortex are called sulcus. The cerebral cortex has what? Motor area which initiates responses, sensory area which receives stimulus, and association area that connect motor and sensory area and provide activities like intelligence, memory, and communication. So each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. So each cerebral, as we know, right and left cerebral hemisphere, which is connected by a corpus callosum. So each cerebral hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes. What are the 4 lobes? Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. Hope you have understood the concepts of the very important part of the central nervous system called brain. Hope you have understood the parts of the central nervous system called brain. So in the coming session also, I am going to discuss about the various parts of the brain and their function. Till then, goodbye and thank you.